Bartenders of Reddit, what was the weirdest slash craziest thing you overheard while making someone's drink? The first restaurant slash bar I worked in I was only serving, but I frequently was in the section right next to the bar. One day I was busy serving a large group, but the restaurant was mostly empty and a guy behind me at the bar said, "You wanna pet my parrot?" My initial reaction was the same, as if a stranger had just come up behind me and touched my shoulders, but when I turned around, it really was a guy with a parrot on his shoulder. The parrot's name was Bobby, and yes, both me and the bartender pet him. Surprisingly heartwarming. Thanks for that. A married couple in their 50s arguing how they were going to explain the fact they couldn't pay the remainder of the €3 million bill for a Ferris wheel they'd ordered 18 months ago, already put $1 million deposit on, and whose collection was due at 8 AM the following morning. The people are here to repossess the Ferris wheel. At first I thought it was farcery, then I read what it actually said and everything stopped making sense. Lol. Guy by himself, should I make it a double? Same guy by himself, yeah, I think you should. Yes you should. Other Barry, yes you should. Had a customer complain that we ruined their new $100 pair of pants by getting bleach on them. We do add bleach to our sanitizer since the beginning of the pandemic, but it's like a 1:1,000 ratio. She continually called and emailed about how she already ordered a new pair and we will reimburse her. She showed up a couple days later with the pants that she hadn't even washed yet because she didn't want to make it worse. Our sweet as hell day bartender noticed it was not the usual color of bleach jeans, grabbed a pen, scraped at the spot, and whatever little bit of sauce she had dropped on the pants that day chipped away. She left with the pants and we haven't seen her since. Favorite outcome to a wild situation. It was just come from a woman to her friend. I don't know about you, but I just can't poop in a pink bathroom. One of life's major grievances. I once had to ask a woman to remove her infant from the bar top. She put them on the floor. I really don't miss bartending. Ugh, people bringing in kids. I worked at the dirtiest punk rock bar imaginable for a bit years ago. We did some trade in food, mostly vegan stuff. One brunch this dude comes in with 2 young kids and sits down to order brunch. We tried to warn him away, but he was adamant on staying. He complained when "Fuck the Pain Away" by Peaches came on the jukebox. Like, I'm here with my kids. This is inappropriate. Yes, it is inappropriate. Where do you think you are right now? I swear to God I once had this exchange at a sushi place. Me, could I get a rum and coke? Owner, a what? Me, rum and coke. The owner looks at me confused. I grab a drinks menu and pointing it at me, rum and Coca-Cola. Owner, with a confused expression. I see 10 minutes passes and the owner returns with a pint glass half full of rum and a bottle of coke. Owner, okay, now what? Doing everything I could to keep a straight face, I poured some of the coke into the glass while this guy watched intently. I witnessed a complete relationship between 2 women over the course of one night. They met early in the night. They were clearly into each other, very flirty. They danced and drank the night away. They started making out and then disappeared for some time. Next time I saw them, they were at each other's throats. No clue what happened, but it ended with one saying, "I never want to see you again." Then stormed out of the bar. After that night I never saw either of them again. They just speedrun the entire relationship. Too many to count. AMD, I've only been at it like 3.5 years. I've seen asterisk we should see other people converse, awkward Tinder meetups, regulars who come in with a different girl every time, a regular whose wife I know, come in w/someone else, another regular come in looking her husband, who was with someone else earlier that day. I got a couple now that I adore, but she is always wearing a very fancy but obvious submissive collar. I lost count of how many men my dad's agent up will ask me for my number. My most awkward to this day though was a couple who literally followed me point from one bar to the next when I changed jobs and then asked me to watch their dog for a secretary while they went outside. Turns out they were breaking up after 10 years together. I still saw them each after then, but never on the same day. Like they decided ahead of time who got me when. It was worse than when my parents were separated. LMAO. Imagine getting a second family by working. Lucky life to live. I was tending bar during an extremely busy happy hour. The place was mobbed and super noisy. Suddenly, a guy sitting at the bar stands up and announces, "Ladies and gentlemen of the bar, I represent the Acme Meat Company and we carry a full line of high quality." The entire bar goes silent while he continues to do his sales pitch at full volume. For some reason he decided that this was a great time and place to hustle up some business. My manager sprinted over to him and told him knock it off, and that kind of thing wasn't allowed in here. So he sat down and resumed drinking. I had to reread this twice because I couldn't believe the guy didn't drop his pants. I was a bartender for about 2 weeks, filling in for a relative who owned a bar and went on his honeymoon. I heard a guy talking to a woman about murdering her husband. I called the cops, but these patrons were gone before they showed up. This was before cameras, so I just gave my story and that was it. Not long after, my uncle calls me saying the cops are looking for me. They interview me about the couple. Apparently, the guy was a hitman for hire and the woman was trying to get some insurance money. She got busted. It was actually an episode of Forensic Files back when that was on TV. I remember watching the episode, and they said something like the couple was overheard discussing the murder in a bar. I was kind of upset that they didn't mention me. Lol. I was hoping for the awesome bartender overheard them, but couldn't really tell us much. He also pointed at the male in the photo lineup and asked back, quote, "Is this him?" as if he was unsure. What a fucking dope. We had to use forensic evidence because the eyewitness was useless. The cops, bro, why did you even call us? Was tending bar at my local pub. Loads of old boys used to come in and get properly razzled. One day, I'm polishing glasses and they'd been day drinking, and it was around 7 PM. I hear this almighty crash and turn around. One of them has fallen off their bar stool. Total silence. Then one guy just loudly declares, "Didn't spill a drop." The whole pub erupts with laughter. Guy who fell still stands up, tips his hat, and went home. This is probably the funniest one in this thread. Did the guy take a bow before leaving? He was covered in sea idea, haha. He just assembled himself and left. Came back the next day and was just like bloody hell, never trying to keep up with them again. Man and woman is sitting at the bar. She starts crying and says, "I just want us to have something special." The guy looked her dead in the eyes and said, "We do have something special. We have sex. We are both married." 10 minutes later they are making out and she's rubbing his dick over his pants. I loved slow Wednesdays. But were they married to each other? That's a negative. After the makeout session I got to hear about their spouses. I knew a guy that was an amazing bartender. He'd get random BS drink names all the time and he'd make them perfectly. "Can I get a sexy mosquito?" "Sure. What color?" "Pink." "I can do pink." Combines random shit. "Here you go. It's good." "Yeah, I know. Just like last time." It was always hilarious. Asking what color is a nice touch. Former bartender here. Best advice I ever received for crazy drink requests was make it strong. Make it red. Odds are they have no idea what the drink is either, and even if the color is completely wrong, few people are going to complain about a strong tasty cocktail. Customer speaking to his friend. "Mate, I can't believe you couldn't get it up for her. I mean, I would have just fucked the bitch soft and use a shoehorn or something." "Me, that'll be £9. Someone was boasting about his very small penis. Very tiny. Like micro. He proceeds to lower his pants and show it to his friend. Macro flex. Well, his friend Shold took his word for it. Former bartender. There were quite a few regulars I was fond of, but there was one in particular that I couldn't let my guard down around. He was off in some way and I immediately didn't trust him. Slightly older than middle age. He introduces himself and I get his drink, as you do, and after a bit he starts on about his life. Wife left him near a decade ago with 2 little ones to raise on his own. Must have been rough, I say. AHH, yeah, but I've worked hard and done right by my kids. Well, cheers to that. Over time I hear him tell the same story the same way to several others, most who had heard it many times before. One evening he comes in later than usual. "Hi, how are you doing?" I say, though I can tell he is in a foul mood. No harm happens to the best of us. He sits near enough to the well with another gent I didn't see in there much. Other gent seemed to be having lady troubles and shifty regular had all the wrong answers. In a hushed and angry tone he said he took care of his own problem 10 years ago and made sure no one would ever find the bitch. Well, that escalated quickly. Regular of mine who I hadn't seen in a while was sitting at the bar when I came in for a shift change. I came in the back way and noticed he had crutches leaning against the bar. Recently in the news someone hadn't had their shotgun properly secured in their truck and it went off. So I jokingly say, "You're that fucking idiot who blew off his leg, aren't you?" The whole bar gets quiet and everyone is mean mugging me. My regular starts laughing. Yeah, it was him. I had no idea. I didn't apologize because as his favorite asshole bartender those comments were expected of me. Poor guy was only 20 couple and blew his leg off close to the hip. No idea how he survived. This was actually after I had clocked out and sat down at the other side of the bar for my shifty. An older couple I had served earlier had come back. Bar was right next to a theater, so we'd usually serve the same customers twice on show nights, and got dinner, and were talking about what they'd ordered. She says she got the shrimp dish, and that apparently didn't sit well with her husband as he just started unloading on her in a way that had my coworker and I just shocked. Ordering the Cameroons El Diablo was apparently enough for him to start griping about taking care of their granddaughter because his wife's daughter was hooked on meth and unable to do so herself. Long story short, she says, "You know what, why don't you walk back to the Airbnb and I'm going to drive home." He left, she paid, and told us this was their first night out in about a year and she had been thinking of divorcing him and that conversation made her mind up. Watched a marriage dissolve over dinner pretty much. Edit. Good God, I just woke up and this one popped off. Thanks to everyone for sharing their own experiences as well as the rewards. Luckily they were an older couple, like late 50s-early 60s, so the children were also adults, but I too would be way more fucked up if my parents never split. Love you guys. That happened to me one time. Couple had been quietly arguing all night. Husband looks at wife and says, "You know what? I don't want to be married to you anymore." And he got up and left. She came back in a couple nights later and left a rather large tip to apologize for all the awkwardness. She felt the need to tell me that he had indeed left her and she was thrilled. She became a regular after that.